Hi, my name's Amanda and I'm from getalifeatsea.com, and I'm here today to talk to you a little bit about how to get fired from a cruise ship. So, here are 3 things that you can do to get fired from a cruise line. So, number 1, let's talk about onboard rules and hierarchy. Now, working on board a cruise ship will require that you understand that there is an onboard hierarchy when it comes to rules and regulations and the way in which those rules and regulations need to be followed. Now, in regards to who is overall in charge, that would be the captain or master. Underneath that position is the staff captain, and then beyond that are all the departmental heads. For the most part, most of you working on board would probably be under the direct supervision of the hotel director or passenger services director, or whatever that position is called, in charge of the hotel department, and then underneath that person is your individual departmental head. Now, if you're not used to working within a hierarchy and with very strict rules and regulations, then working on board a cruise ship may not be something that is for you. Now, some cruise lines are more strict than other cruise lines, and it just kind of depends on the line that you end up with. But what I can tell you is that usually the higher end the cruise line, so the higher end service that cruise line provides, usually means the stricter the regulations tend to be for crew members. So, for example, say Cunard Cruise Line, which provides their passengers with 6-star plus service, they usually have relatively strict regulations when it comes to crew privileges in passenger areas, for example. Number 2, a good way to get fired quite quickly is to overdo the alcohol consumption. Now, again, each cruise line may have slightly different regulations when it comes to how much alcohol each crew member is able to consume within a certain hour period. And again, that will be dictated to you by the cruise line, whichever cruise line you end up with. But a good rule of thumb is to remember that you should pretty much follow the drinking regulations that you probably have in your own home country when it comes to drinking and driving. If you wouldn't get in a vehicle and drive it, then you're over the limit, basically, on a cruise ship. One of the reasons that is because all crew members on board do also have emergency and safety duties that they need to fulfill. And we need to make sure that we're able to fulfill those duties 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And emergency can happen at any time, and we need to make sure that we can assist our fellow crew and passengers to deal with any emergency that comes up. And if you are incapacitated, that is going to be a real problem. And so, again, certain cruise lines will have certain regulations when it comes to how many drinks you can have within a certain hour time frame. And so you would need to check with your departmental head and definitely read through all your contract information, because usually it will state it in there. But it is taken very, very seriously, and there are also onboard breathalyzing testing that does happen should any departmental head or head of security deem that you are over the limit. So that is also something to keep in mind. Should you be found over the limit or incapacitated, most likely what's going to happen to you is you will be discharged and sent home. So, number 2 reason, or a way to get fired. Number 3, this is definitely a biggie, and getting fired will be the lucky way out. Number 3 has to do with illegal drugs. Illegal drugs are taken very, very seriously on board. There are massive fines for cruise lines should illegal drugs be found on the ship. And so it is to be taken very, very seriously. Now, there is random drug testing that is done with most cruise lines, so that's something to also be aware of. So even if you haven't brought the drugs on the ship and you've just done drugs ashore while you're on contract, you can be dismissed for having drugs in your system if it shows up on the random drug testing. If you are even sillier and decide to bring drugs on the ship, you should know that there are random searches done by ship's officers, but also shoreside authorities, so you never know when it could happen. There could be drug dogs in your cabin one morning. That happened to me in the UK. I'm sleeping away, and all of a sudden there's a dog in my cabin, and they were doing a complete crew cabin check for any drugs. So that can happen as well. If you are found with drugs in your possession, if you are lucky, you're going to be dismissed and sent home. If you are unlucky, you could be handed over to the local authorities. And depending on what country you happen to be in at that time, you could be looking at some very, very scary possibilities. For example, if you're in Singapore or Thailand or something like that and you're handed over to the authorities, they have very, very strict laws regarding drugs, and you could be looking at either very long-term sentences or possibly even death. So you do need to take this very, very seriously. The company will not support you in any way, shape, or form because you will have negated to follow your terms and conditions. And so if you are found either in possession of drugs or with drugs in your system, you had better hope that you were lucky enough to be sent home. So I hate to end on such a scary note, but those are 3 ways that you can definitely be sent home. Again, to review, not following the policies and procedures as set up by the company, rules and regulations. Number 2, overdoing it in the alcohol. And number 3, illegal drugs. So if you have any other questions for me about working on a cruise ship, please do make a comment in the comments section below. Like this video or subscribe to my channel for more videos on getting a life at sea. Of course, I would love if you checked out my website. Again, that's www.getalifeatsea.com. My name's Amanda, and I look forward to seeing you next time.